President Trump has widened the global trade war he started since retaking the White House. He's announced a 25% tariff on all cars imported into the United States from the 2nd of April.
US President Donald Trump has announced a 25% tariff on all car and light truck imports into the country.
And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff.
The mood inside the global auto industry has shifted, and the effects are now rolling straight into the United States. Some of the most recognizable German brands, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi, are quietly stepping back as President Trump's import tariffs squeeze tighter. This is not a symbolic move or a temporary pause. It is a reaction that is already rippling through factories, dealer lots, and supply chains that once felt locked in place. Jobs hang in the balance, long-standing partnerships are being tested, and the rules of competition are changing faster than many expected. Decisions made in boardrooms overseas are beginning to shape what Americans can buy, afford, and build at home. How did tariffs trigger a response this serious? Why are these companies willing to risk losing ground? And who is really positioned to win when the dust settles? The landscape of the global auto industry shifted in a single policy move, a change that arrived not with discussion or gradual transition, but with the immediate force of a 25% tariff on vehicles and parts entering the United States. The rule was straightforward, transforming market access from an open opportunity into a conditional requirement based on domestic production. For the German automotive giants, whose operations were masterpieces of global integration, the financial reality was rewritten overnight. Brands like BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi were confronted with a brutal new arithmetic that rendered their carefully optimized supply chains a source of crippling liability. The choice presented was bleak: absorb unsustainable losses or pass dramatic price increases onto consumers in a fiercely competitive market. Neither option offered a viable path forward. These manufacturers were not absent from American soil. BMW's sprawling Spartanburg complex in South Carolina and the Mercedes-Benz facility in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, stand as significant production hubs, responsible for thousands of the SUVs seen on roads across the country. Yet their presence was only part of a much wider picture. The engines, transmissions, and intricate electronic systems that give these vehicles their character were routinely sourced from specialized factories in Germany, Slovakia, and Mexico. The new tariffs placed a heavy cost on these essential components, inflating production expenses to the point where profitability evaporated. For Audi, the situation was even more acute, as its entire American business relied on importing finished vehicles. With tariffs layering upon tariffs, the company faced an effective cost penalty approaching 200%, a figure that made continued participation in the market a financial impossibility. Attempts to navigate this new terrain collapsed almost immediately under the sheer weight of the numbers. Raising prices would alienate customers. Absorbing the cost would mean losses measured in the billions of dollars. Rebuilding supply chains that represented decades of investment could not be accomplished in a matter of months. The responses were therefore swift and severe. Mercedes-Benz halted shipments. Audi stopped deliveries completely. BMW froze ambitious expansion plans that had once signaled deep, long-term commitment to its American operations. These were not tactical adjustments but strategic retreats, decisions made purely for economic survival. Years of built trust and intricate collaboration began to unravel within weeks, triggering consequences that reached far beyond corporate headquarters. The real impact quickly reverberated through American communities that had grown and thrived alongside these industrial anchors. BMW's Spartanburg plant alone is responsible for supporting an estimated 43,000 jobs when considering direct employment, its vast supplier network, and the local services that depend on its activity, contributing roughly $26 billion annually to the US economy. The Mercedes-Benz operation in Alabama sustains thousands of workers and anchors a dense web of suppliers across the southeastern states. Even Audi, without a domestic assembly line, fueled billions in economic activity through its nationwide network of dealerships, marketing agencies, logistics centers, and service operations. As the German automakers pulled back, dealership lots faced sudden shortages and unpredictable pricing, while customers were left grappling with uncertainty over warranties, parts, and long-term support. Local dealers struggled to provide answers as the ground shifted beneath them. Perhaps the most severe damage radiated through the extensive ecosystem of American suppliers. More than 2,500 US-based companies, from small machine shops in Ohio to advanced technology firms in California, had built their operations around contracts from these German manufacturers. Waves of order cancellations rippled outward, forcing immediate layoffs, triggering closures, and sending businesses scrambling to find new customers or relocate operations abroad to stay connected to their partners. The national economic toll extended into exports. Models like the BMW X5 and X6, assembled in South Carolina and shipped globally, saw their competitiveness erode in international markets. Analysts project a decline of approximately $15 billion in US auto exports directly tied to these disruptions, contributing to a broader industry impact estimated at $45 billion. A policy intended to strengthen domestic manufacturing instead weakened employment, undermined innovation networks, and diminished export strength. As doors closed in the United States, others opened wide elsewhere. China emerged as the clear alternative, offering immense market scale, policy consistency, and aggressive incentives specifically tailored for the electric and luxury vehicle sectors. Strategic announcements followed in rapid succession. Mercedes-Benz declared that its next-generation electric vehicle platform would make its global debut in China, not the United States. BMW broke ground on a massive new production facility in Chengdu to serve Chinese demand and future exports. Audi deepened partnerships with local technology champions while establishing new research and development centers in Shanghai and Shenzhen. This migration encompassed far more than assembly lines. It included the relocation of design studios, software engineering teams, and critical research into autonomous driving systems. The long-term implications of this shift extend beyond mere geography. Vehicles developed under these conditions will inherently reflect regional priorities, local infrastructure, and Chinese consumer expectations. When the core work of design, testing, and innovation occurs primarily in China, the resulting technologies and standards will influence global markets from that center outward. The German automobiles of the next decade may carry an engineering DNA formed almost entirely outside of American influence. This represents a forfeiture not only of manufacturing jobs, but of leadership in defining the next era of automotive technology, including breakthroughs in battery systems, digital interfaces, and self-driving capabilities. For China, the influx of German expertise and investment accelerates a clear ambition to dominate the global luxury electric vehicle segment. For the United States, it signals a diminishing role in shaping the future of mobility. Domestic automakers soon discovered that the departure of formidable German competitors did not create a straightforward path to gain. Companies like Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis remain deeply reliant on imported components, including sophisticated electronic control units, battery cells, semiconductors, and advanced modules. Tariffs applied to these parts raised costs across the entire industry. Ford alone calculated a financial impact of $1.5 billion linked directly to tariff-related expenses. General Motors and others withdrew their earnings forecasts entirely, citing the instability and unpredictability sown by the trade policy. In such an environment, confident long-term planning became nearly impossible. A less visible but equally critical consequence was the reduction of competitive pressure that drives innovation. German brands have long served as benchmarks in critical areas like infotainment systems, hybrid drivetrain efficiency, digital cockpit design, and overall performance engineering. Their strong presence in the American market compelled domestic automakers to elevate their own offerings continuously. With that pressure now diminished, the pace of overall automotive advancement risks slowing. Furthermore, filling the premium segment vacated by these brands presents a profound challenge. While Cadillac and Lincoln continue their efforts to elevate brand perception, replacing decades of globally recognized prestige associated with German luxury requires sustained investment and time that the current disrupted climate may not afford. Supplier layoffs, delayed product launches, and rising vehicle prices for all manufacturers complicate the outlook further. What might have initially appeared as a competitive opening transformed into a landscape of shared disruption. On the international stage, trade relationships continue to strain under the pressure. The European Union perceives these tariffs as a direct economic threat, particularly for Germany, where automotive exports constitute a central pillar of national economic output. The country exported more than 3 million vehicles globally last year, with a significant portion destined for American consumers. Discussions of retaliatory measures persist, while other nations actively pursue selective trade agreements to shield their own industries. The result is a fragmenting global trade environment where predictability has been replaced by deep caution. Manufacturers are increasingly prioritizing stability over pure cost efficiency, leading to the rise of regional production hubs designed to minimize risk, even at the expense of higher prices. Supply chains continue their marked drift toward Asia, with China as the focal point for new German automotive investment. While some limited reshoring of activity may occur in the United States, it is unlikely to match the scale or the technological depth now flowing overseas. Port authorities, logistics firms, and component suppliers already report tangible changes in shipping patterns and long-term contracts. In an industry built upon planning cycles that span 5 to 7 years, sudden policy shifts erode the fundamental confidence required for progress. Structural cracks within the industrial foundation are becoming visible, and repairing them will demand far more than short-term adjustments.